Here's a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, it's the rare victory Friday for the Packers. They're getting to enjoy another impressive effort after taking down the Commanders 27-18 last night. But the win did not come without a cost. Wide receiver Jayden Reed went down in the first quarter with what turned out to be a broken collarbone, expected to miss extended time, but there is hope he'll be able to return this year. Reed was the team's leading receiver the last 2 years, so quarterback Jordan Love knows the impact of that injury.
Anytime somebody gets injured during the game, it's tough. So I don't know how long his timeline will be and how long he'll be out. But like I said, we got other guys that can step up and make big time plays. But that right there was a huge play, and that's what Jay Reed does for our offense. He's that another big play guy we got.
Packers 2-0 for the first time since 2020. They will get the weekend off before heading to Cleveland next Sunday to face the Browns. Turn to the Badgers. They have a monumental task tomorrow as they head to number 19 Alabama to take on the Tide. The two teams met last year with Alabama winning 42-10. This time around, they are 20.5-point favorites. Badgers will start backup Danny O'Neal at quarterback in place of the injured Billy Edwards Jr. Kick tomorrow is at 11 a.m.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer. But did you know they also offer competitive home, auto, business, and life insurance? They make it convenient to bundle your insurance while saving you time and money. Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Brewers and Cardinals will get their weekend series going tonight at American Family Field. Milwaukee comes in having lost 3 straight, getting swept by Texas. Though their lead on the Cubs in the NL Central stands at 5.5 games with 15 games to play. First pitch is at 7:10. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Lay out for a second because this crowd has something to say. I know you guys know what they're saying. They're saying, thank you, Jerry.
We got to consistently put that effort, that energy every week, and then great things can happen. We can get back to that goal. I don't want to compare myself to Reggie at all. He had like 70 sacks in 4 years. But if I could just come close to his legacy, I'd be a very happy person.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
That's some sound from the Amazon Prime post-game last night when they get the desk out and the crowd kind of comes up to the railing and they have a couple of the winning players over to interview. They're talking with Micah Parsons. I mean, how could you not be psyched up watching Micah Parsons play? I've said this a couple of times over the last 2 weeks. I think it's still true. What gets me fired up the most and what gets me feeling sports butterflies is actually just listening to Micah Parsons in press conferences, which is weird because if you would have asked me 3 months ago, what do you think of Micah Parsons, the player? What do you think of Micah Parsons, the person? I said, tremendous player. He's got his own podcast and he started some drama with that. And I don't really know what's going on there. There's some immaturity things, even going back to Penn State. And ever since he's arrived in Green Bay and maybe making, more than $150 million, maybe that fixes a lot of things. Maybe a fresh start in a new city, new teammates, new coaches. Maybe that changes somebody. And maybe Micah, maybe he was misunderstood for a long time, or maybe it was just me misunderstanding him for a long time when he was in Dallas. But the player and the voice and the leader that the Packers traded for, wow, it gets me really fired up and psyched up to watch Packer games. Last night was really fun. So we're going to talk about that game, last night's game, really for the full 2 hours tonight. I have a couple of other NFL related sound bites where if we say our piece on this game, we could talk about, I have a Bears story and a Lions story that we could pick at if we need to. But I think most of these 2 hours as we wrap up the week are going to be about last night, the Packers winning 27-18. It didn't really feel that close. I know it was a one-possession game, either late in the third, early in the fourth. And it's the NFL. Anything can happen. I wasn't really sitting on pins and needles. It just felt like even when the Commanders would put a drive together, it was 3.5 yards at a time. And Jayden Daniels would take a hit on every other play. The Commanders just felt like they were moving mountains to even put one touchdown drive together. So even when it was a little tighter than it probably should have been, considering how well the Packers were moving the ball and how stout their defense was, never really felt all that concerning. And for those Packers fans who are concerned about style points, well, you should have put them away. Oh, I mean, maybe, yeah. The spread was 3.5 for what it's worth. They covered that handsomely. Thursday night, short week. I think style points become a little bit less important in that environment, even for the home team. The home team was dealing with injuries, though, missing 2 of their 5 starting linemen. So I'll take your reactions on this game throughout the show. Ryan Wood will join us in segment number 2 here in about 10 or 12 minutes, as he does every Friday, courtesy of La Crosse Beer House on the corner of 3rd and Pearl, which is where I will be broadcasting 1 week from right now. 1 week from right now at 4:05 p.m., I will be at La Crosse Beer House. A little bit of an Oktoberfest warm-up. So come on down. I remember once upon a time where I first met Eric on I-90 when we would do, Thursday night football hangouts down there. I'm going to get a beer, and I think I need to get back into the pretzel game. I had a year of my life where I would just order the big pretzel everywhere I'd go, and it was like, I think I wore myself out. Like once upon a time, I drank myself out of Captain Morgan, for example. A couple of years I didn't really touch that. Well, now I'm back on the Captain Morgan. Not like every night, but like I can enjoy a rum and Coke now without wanting to throw up. I'm back into the pretzel game, so I'm going to get one of those big pretzels at La Crosse Beer House next Friday. But next segment, Ryan Wood will be here. Packers news courtesy of La Crosse Beer House. Part of the reason I like daily sports talk radio, and it's not for everybody. Some people, I'll listen to a sports podcast twice a week, and that's all the time that I have. Fine, right? Everybody dedicates different amounts of time and different amounts of energy or focus. There might be some Packers fans, they maybe watch half the games, right? Maybe they don't even see every game start to finish. So some of us watch every game, and then we watch the highlights, and then we listen to Bukowski, and then we listen to Andy Herman, and then we listen to the postgame show with Bill, the Green and Gold postgame show, and then the Bill Mike. Some of us, it's a daily thing. Part of the reason I love sports talk radio more than I like podcasts, or more than I like a YouTube live show or whatever. There's a million different formats of sports content in 2025. The reason I like daily sports talk radio, there's a show to do every day with a topic to cover every day. And that topic could change the next day. It could change the next hour. It'll certainly change over the next week. But why I like a daily sports talk show is we're always circling back to the thing that we talked about yesterday, or the thing that we talked about last week. Here's how things have changed since we once upon a time talked about that thing. Here's how things have, adjusted, or here's how things have evolved since we talked about that thing, right? It's fluid. It's almost like there's never a beginning and an end to a sports talk radio show. We just pause for 20 hours and then we pick it up tomorrow, and we have new information and we build on what we've already started with, right? We talked for 2 hours yesterday about this one thing. Tomorrow we'll pick it up and we might have new information. We might have new, games to throw onto the pile. And I remember back now, I think 2 weeks ago today, because they acquired Micah Parsons on a Thursday. So 2 weeks ago today, I remember coming on the air and saying, all right, Micah Parsons is here. Love what the Packers gave up. You only had to trade Kenny Clark, only, with all due to a great player. 2 first-round picks. I'm surprised that the Packers were able to make this move for that reason. Here's why it fits the timeline. Here's, the Brian Gutekunst of it all, and the Ed Policy of it all, and the Matt LaFleur. We talked about the trade on Thursday. And then on Friday, 2 weeks ago today, I remember coming in and saying, all right, here's what I'm thinking about now that we've had 24 hours to sit with this trade. I want to see how the rest of the locker room reacts to this. I want to see how these young, burgeoning players, right, guys who are going into year 2, year 3, year 4, Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed, Edgerrin Cooper, Evan Williams, that group. I want to see how that group responds to this move. Because if this team's going to win a Super Bowl, and this team is going to perform to their highest possible level, every player in that generation, which comprises most of the team, they're the youngest team in football because a lot of the guys are year 2, year 3, year 4. That's their core. For this team to really accomplish what they want to accomplish, and it's clear they feel like they can accomplish that after trading 2 firsts and a great player for a player like Micah Parsons, for them to accomplish what they want to accomplish, everyone in that locker room, and especially the players of that generation, let's say, need to look around and say, oh boy, opportunities like this don't come around very often. Right? It's not every day your general manager goes out and trades multiple premium picks away to come and bring in a stud, a player who's, potentially a Hall of Famer one day. I don't like when people say, well, Micah Parsons, he's on a Hall of Fame track. Man, that's nuts to me. I hope so. He's an awesome player and has been about as good as you can be through this point of his career as a young pass rusher. But that's the level of player that they brought in, right? The gold jacket, the Hall of Fame. I bristle at it a little bit, but I get why that stuff is thrown around. That generation of Packers needs to look around and realize together, if not now, then it's never. If we can't up our urgency in practice and up our commitment and up our drive and up our focus and really work on curing some of those little issues that held us back last year, especially against the Lions, the Vikings, the Eagles, then it's never going to happen, right? Like the locker room needed to have that moment. And I remember talking about this 2 weeks ago. And after 2 games, and especially after last night, I feel like the locker room has responded and reacted that way, and then some. Every little interview you hear with Rashawn Gary, who was with Jeremy Fowler on ESPN after the game, Josh Jacobs, who was on with Scott Van Pelt, Keyshawn Nixon, I saw a clip in front of him, in front of his locker. He had a great game last night. And I don't remember which member of the Packers beat asked him, like, hey, Keyshawn Nixon, does this team have a little extra swagger this year? And he goes, yeah, we have friggin' Micah Parsons. Like, yeah, yes, that's how this locker room needs to be thinking. That's how they need to be behaving, right? It would be like if one of us woke up one day and hit a $20,000 scratch off, right? I never expect to come into 20 grand or $1 million or whatever, fill in the number. If in that moment you can't think, all right, well, I got to, like, I've been given this gift. I got to, pay off my student loans, and then I got to do this. And, grandma's always wanted this. Like that should hype you up, and that should lock you in, right? Realizing, man, I just got a gift from above, whatever deity you believe in. I got 20 grand. What can I do with this, right? How can I change my life with this? And I know it might seem like a silly comparison, but those players in that locker room, that Packers locker room, especially that generation of players that comprises most of the team, year 2, year 3, year 4, like they hit the lottery. They woke up one day and their general manager, comes in the locker room and says, yeah, we just acquired Micah Parsons. Like there should be giddiness, there should be excitement. And then within 24, 48 hours, I want that whole locker room to flip a switch and realize, okay, this is an opportunity that we can't waste. That was my hope. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. And I don't understand how you could have seen anything else over the last 2 weeks. In fact, this team may have even exceeded my expectations in the intensity, the focus, the drive. I mean, this team sounds like they're ready for the playoffs to start today. It's a long regular season. There will certainly be more ups and downs than we've experienced in the last 5 days. But I love what I've heard and seen from that locker room. It's everything that we asked for and that we talked about 2 weeks ago. So that's my big picture take on yesterday, my big picture state of the Packers at this moment in time, at this hour. I also wanted to say a couple words about Jordan Love and the way he performed last night. It's funny, I produced Bill's show for 4 hours, and I have the live stream in front of me, his video stream. Sometimes I turn my camera on and I'll join the show. If he's got a guest on or if he's taking calls, I normally turn my camera off because you don't need to sit and watch me pick my nose if I'm not contributing to the show. But I'm always watching the live stream, and I'm watching the comments, and then I'm screening the phone calls. Doug in Luxembourg. All right, I'm going to put you on hold. Bill will get to you. Gerard in Delaware. All right, I'm going to put you on hold. Bill will get to you. And I'm listening to what the callers have to say. And I'm reading the comments, and I'm reading the text line. And there was so much said on Bill's show today, not from everybody, but there was a lot that was said about, look, Jordan Love's got to smooth out some inconsistencies. Jordan Love on the deep ball. When's he going to figure out his deep ball accuracy? When is Jordan Love going to learn to set his feet and use proper mechanics? Guys, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Jordan Love is Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. I don't think he's one of those guys in that top tier. But I think some members of the Packers fan base, without even realizing, have been completely warped and completely brainwashed by 30 plus years of Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. And other fans of other teams will tell you, oh, Packers fans are so spoiled. And when that comes from other fans, I'm like, dude, up yours. You know how many awful playoff losses I've watched, right? You know how many heartbreaks I've gone through? Yeah, I've seen a Super Bowl in my lifetime. And if you're a little bit older than me, you've seen 2. If you're a lot older, you've seen a couple more, a lot older. But you get my point, right? Like, I hate being called spoiled by other fan bases. Man, tell me what it's like to lose 4 NFC championship games in 7 years before you say that I'm spoiled, right? But within this fan base, just between us guys and girls, I'm going to very delicately, very respectfully tell you guys, I think some of you are missing the big picture with Jordan Love. I was watching the highlights in bed. I'm not grinding the all 22. I'm not going to do it. Although I was watching JT O'Sullivan's breakdown today, which is normally more than I do in terms of film study. But I was watching the highlights in bed last night. And there were a couple of throws, and most of them were on like 1st and 10, 2nd and 6. They weren't touchdowns. They weren't plays that would stick in your mind unless you went back and you watched the highlights. There were a couple throws Jordan Love made last night, you guys. Like, there's 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the world maybe who can make those throws. Those are Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes throws. I'm talking about ball under center, taking the snap, drifting back 10 or 12 yards behind the line of scrimmage because for some reason that's what Jordan Love loves to do. He's on the far hash, throwing an outbreaking route to the boundary, a seed right into the hands of Dontavian Wicks. And to us Packers fans, we don't see that throw and go, wow. We see that throw and go, well, duh. Yeah, it's the throw that an NFL quarterback should make. The problem is the NFL quarterbacks that we've watched in my lifetime have been Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, who, of course, can make those throws. There are NFL franchises, the Bears. Sorry, Bears fans, if you're listening, but it's an example that I have to use. The Bears have never had a quarterback who can make a throw like that, ever. So I realized that Jordan Love missed the ball to Matthew Golden would have been a touchdown. And I understand that the deep ball over the middle, the 45-yard air yard bomb was 6 inches too far for Matthew Golden, and Packers fans said, God, Jordan Love is so inconsistent. Why can't he hit those throws? Okay, yeah, he missed 2 or 3. Newsflash, most quarterbacks do. He made some freaking, and I think we're numb to so many of these throws. That should have been a touchdown to Jaden Reed. It was called back because of the holding penalty. That throw was unbelievable. It doesn't count. I think Jordan Love's best throws the last 2 weeks were both drops in the bucket to Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed dropped the one last week. And then, of course, this week he catches the one that doesn't count because of the holding penalty. Packers fans, I'm not lecturing you. I'm not telling you how to fan. I just, every once in a while, I need you to say, okay, I'm used to watching Rodgers. I'm used to watching Favre. No, Jordan Love is not the best quarterback in the world. But, man, he's out there every week making throws that only the best quarterbacks in the world can make. And I feel like sometimes we miss that a little bit, Packers fans, and I'm guilty of it as well. Let's take a break. 3 minutes. We'll come back with Ryan Wood, PackersNews.com. Courtesy of Lacrosse Beer House, we'll break down what he saw last night and talk about the state of this team that feels like it's buzzing in a way that it hasn't in a long time. So we'll discuss with Ryan Wood next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think it's great, but it's just a start. I mean, there's a long season ahead of us. You can't take it for granted. I think that you got to keep competing, pushing. There was opportunities to really put this game away tonight, and I don't think we did that. So that gives me a lot of ammo when we get with the guys on Monday to kind of get after them a little bit.
It's the cliche perfect game. Aaron Rodgers talked about this. You want to win. You want to win comfortably, and then you still want things to nitpick. As a coach, you still want reasons to lay into your guys. Aaron Rodgers talked about that not that long ago. It's Matt LaFleur in his post-game press conference last night. Ryan Wood joins us now, courtesy of Lacrosse Beer House. I'll be broadcasting there a week from tonight. So WK2I listeners, come on out the corner of 3rd and Pearl. We'll get a beer, we'll get a brat and a pretzel, and we can chop it up over the Packers. Ryan Wood, like I said, is here. I see a lot of videos and tweets and articles, Ryan, from you and your fellow Packers beat members, and they're all kind of singing maybe a similar song that goes, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but this team feels there's something there. Have you felt that in practice and in the locker room in both of these games at Lambeau this week?
It's funny. I asked, final question I asked in the locker room last night before leaving, going back up to the press box, was to Josh Jacobs. And he just talked about, how good it felt to be 2-0. And I said, Josh, it's not just 2-0. 2-0 on its own is wonderful. It's great, but 2-0 against these two teams, what does that tell you?
Yeah.
And he looked at me, he tried to find the words, and he eventually said, ask me again in November. I might have a better answer for you then. So, yeah, I mean, there is certainly a recognition of what this is not. This is not a trophy.
Yeah.
This does not mean anything about the next 15 games. But if you came into the season thinking the Lions and Commanders are going to be two of the top teams in the NFC, well, the Packers just beat them 54-31 combined.
Yeah.
They were up 27-6 on the Lions. They're up 27-10 on the Commanders. Neither of these games were actually games. And these are two teams, I mean, unless, Grant, you think that, okay, maybe the Lions and Commanders aren't that good, I don't see how you could possibly be less impressed. I certainly don't feel that. I think they're both playoff teams. I think in a 7-seed field in the NFC, the Lions Commanders are in, and they just whacked them.
In my lifetime, the special Packers teams didn't necessarily feel special at the beginning of the year. They became that way, and you look back in December, you're like, man, this team's got something. They've really put it together. In your time on the Packers beat, have you covered a team or followed a team that through 2 weeks and not even like through 5 days feels the way that this team feels? What's the best point of reference that you have for this team in your Packers career?
Well, I started covering the team in 2014. This is my 12th season. It's the 4th time that they've been 2-0 through the first 2 games. The other 3 times, 2015, 2019, and 2020. You look at 2015, look, okay, 2-0 is 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
It's what every team wants to be. It's great to be. They're 2-0 in 2015. But that was only a few weeks after Jordy Nelson just torn his ACL in Pittsburgh in the preseason. It was still very much an open question. How are they going to deal with that over the long term? 2019, Matt LaFleur's first year as the head coach. That's a great way to start your head coaching tenure. But if you remember early in that season, they won that first game in Chicago 10-3.
That's right.
It took time for that offense, that new scheme, to really get rolling. Through 2 games, it wasn't yet. 2020, of the 3 previous that I've seen, that is the year that it was like, okay, they're pretty good, because they go into Minnesota, that first COVID game, and they just steamroll them offensively. Devontae Adams had, I don't know, like 36 catches or something in that first game. And then the next week they beat the Lions. They're putting up a lot of points. The defense, though, just kind of doing enough. And if you look at 2020, the Vikings and the Lions both ended that season with losing records. They weren't teams that they just beat, that like the Lions and Commanders now, that you're like, those are playoff teams. Like they should be playoff teams. So no, this is by far their best 2-game start in the past dozen seasons that I've covered this team, it's not close.
What is your impression of the way that Jordan Love's played the first 2 games of his 3rd season now?
You know, I just tweeted this before I came on air, and then I realized, oh yeah, 2023, he had a good start too. Jordan Love's first 2 passer ratings against the Lions, 128, against the Commanders, 113. It's the second time in 3 years that he has had 2 games to open the season with at least a 110 passer rating. The 2023, he did the same thing against Chicago, and then a 1-point loss against Atlanta. 2 times in 3 years. Care to guess how many times Aaron Rodgers did that in 18 years?
Not many.
3.
Ooh.
He did it 3 times and not since 2015.
Wow.
So 2 times in 3, he's playing at a very, very, very high level. Is he making every throw? No. But you show me anyone at this level who's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect doesn't exist. It's a fabrication. It's unattainable. He's not perfect. He's playing at a very, very high level. And I think for not just him, for anyone on this offense, when you watch these last 2 games, doesn't it just look like they have such a peace of mind? And think about early last season, Jordan Love comes in after getting that $55 million a year contract, and the interceptions, he's forcing things. He's trying to live up to that contract. And now there's such a peace of mind and such a comfortability knowing that no matter what happens, Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary, Edgerrin Cooper, Xavier McKinney, they're coming off the sideline and they're going to handle things. The faith that offense must have in this defense, that's it's the ideal of complementary football that every team wants to achieve. And I think that it really does take a lot of pressure off the offense.
Ryan Wood is here. Thanks to Lacrosse Beer House, Packers News, USA Today, Twitter @by Ryan Wood. After Micah Parsons, who I think just pound for pound is their best football player, could you argue that Tucker Kraft is their best football player? He was unbelievable last night. And I don't think Packers fans were surprised by what they saw last night, but I think that was a little bit of a coming out moment nationally, national TV, and a career high in yardage. Is he not, if not their second best player, he's got to be right there at the top of the list, right?
Well, he just staked his claim as the number 1 receiving target in this offense, which for those of us who have been paying close attention to this team the past few years, I don't think any of us are surprised by this. I've been saying since last November that the best playmaker in the Packers passing game was Tucker Kraft. And so it's not a surprise, but I think what was significant last night was they finally figured out how to scheme him open downfield. Tucker Kraft only had 10 targets all of last season, 10 out of his 70, in which he was targeted at least 10 air yards past the line of scrimmage. Wow. He caught 8 of those for 260 yards and a perfect 158.3 passer rating.
Of course he did.
So pretty good.
Yeah.
He was pretty good, but only 10 out of 70. So you have this elite weapon, but because he's so important in your blocking game, he's foundational as a classic inline tight end. It is hard to get him downfield. I thought this offseason, the number 1 priority, the number 1 question this offensive coaching staff had to ask was how to maximize Tucker Kraft, the downfield playmaker. And then on 2nd and 6 last night, they come out in 13 personnel, 3 tight ends. Tucker Kraft is sandwiched between Luke Musgrave on his right, Darian Kennard on his left. And he follows Luke Musgrave downfield. Luke Musgrave takes the deep middle. 2 Washington Commanders safeties follow him. Because it's 13 personnel of the Commanders, and Tucker Kraft said that he heard the defense communicating this before the snap, they're expecting a run play. That is a running formation when you have 3 tight ends.
Yep.
And so 2 linebackers bite on a toss fake to Josh Jacobs, and that is how Tucker Kraft found himself so wide open, 17 yards downfield for a 57-yard gain because they schemed it up. That hat tip to the Packers offensive coaching staff, Matt LaFleur on down, because that's what they've needed to do, and they found a way to do it.
Is there a moment over the last 2 seasons and now 1 off season in training camp where you said, this kid from South Dakota, like there might be something there. He might actually be a guy. Do you have a moment or a memory?
I think it's the first check down that he caught midway through his rookie season against the Chargers.
Sure.
When you actually saw him for the first time in the open field and you're like, oh, wow, when he opened it up. Now, It's really interesting when you talk about the evolution of him and the journey that he's had with his development, because he's always had the yak ability. He's a big, fast target. But he came into this league as kind of a guy that at that position that was considered more mauler than playmaker. I mean, the blocking was going to be there. That was the expectation when he left college. And he's had to develop into this as a target. I asked Tucker Kraft last night, 6 catches, 124 yards, touchdown. If there was a play that stood out to him as being specifically emblematic of that type of development to get to the point where he is right now in his career, Grant, he said the third and 6 for 8 yards. So go back to that play. It's the total package play. He runs through a bear hug from Washington Commanders safety Will Harris. That a lot of tight ends he was a bear hug. That might take you completely out of the play. He sheds him, draws the flag, and as soon as he breaks his route back to Jordan Love, he slips on the ground. So now he's on hands and knees on the grass. And as soon as he slips, he gets right back up. He continues his route on the extension. He secures the catch. You're talking about strength. You're talking about athleticism. You're talking about focus with the hands. That's what he is now. And I think even bigger than the numbers, Tucker Kraft had a catch on both goal lines last night. The 8-yard leak touchdown, which is vintage for him. They're at their 4-yard line, backed up. Jordan Love flicks it in the left flat for 15 yards. He had a third down catch. He had a deep catch. When you have a tight end that can make plays in all situations from all areas of the field, that's a dynamic weapon, and that's what Tucker Kraft is.
Tell me something juicy about Javon Bullard, because I didn't talk about him a ton last year, even though he was drafted reasonably high, good college defense. We had, solid expectations for him, but then McKinney was awesome. Evan Williams is great. We just didn't really discuss him, and I thought that maybe he had his best game as a Packer last night.
I think he's at home in the slot. You get Javon Bullard and that speed, that physicality, the mentality he plays with. You get him close to the line of scrimmage, he's going to be involved in a lot of plays. And what allows that is because they've got the 2 safeties on the back yet. So Javon Bullard can play safety in a pinch, but I don't think you want him playing safety. You want him up toward the line of scrimmage. It reminds me so much of what the Packers should have done for years with Darnell Savage. Sure. Anytime you watch Darnell Savage play, he couldn't play back in. I think Javon Bullard's a better deep safety than Darnell Savage, and that's not saying much. But you put Darnell Savage in the slot, and his speed was able to play at a higher level. They just never did that for whatever reason. Mike Pettin, Joe Barry, they just never put him in the slot. And with the Packers, because you have those 2 guys, and Evan Williams and Xavier Kenny behind him to kind of be that umbrella safety net of the defense, they're able to put Javon Bullard in the slot, and his speed is it's something to behold.
Can you answer a listener question in 60 seconds here before I let you go? I just got a DM.
Absolutely.
So you're a Mets fan. For reference for anyone who's listening. Yeah, unfortunately. This is from Tony in Texas. Says, Grant, can you ask Ryan Wood why the Mets suck? They couldn't even win 1 game against Philly, who are chasing the Brewers for the best record in the NL. That's why we're interested. So what happened there?
My frustration level with David Stearns is unrealistically high. Like I know in my head that David Stearns is a damn good baseball manager. He can put together a team, and I know that he understands pitching. But his colossal failure to put a freaking pitching rotation together this season is, it's hot. It's heated. I am not pleased because the offense has been hot and cold, but they've got enough bats. Their pitching rotation is just, it's disgusting. I'm not happy. I'm not happy, Grant.
Sorry that we had to end that way. I just, I like being interactive with listeners. What kind of coverage can we find on your feed at Packers News or on your Twitter feed? I know the Packers don't play this weekend, but what will you be releasing that we can follow over the next week until we talk again?
Yeah, it's going to be wall-to-wall Packers coverage. Looking forward to actually seeing some other teams play this weekend. Going to get some downtime after 2 games in 5 days, but Cleveland Browns upcoming, and my God, 40-plus-year-old Joe Flacco against that pass rush. You kind of fear for him a little bit. That could get ugly.
Well, and we'll get a sight. They play the Ravens last I looked. That's like an 11.5-point spread. So we'll see how that game goes. That could set the table. The Packers now get a mini bye, 10 days off. Enjoy watching more football. on your off time this weekend, Ryan. I appreciate the time always. We'll talk next week.
All right, take care.
Ryan Wood, Packers News, USA Today, Twitter @ByRyanWood. There's been a caller who's been waiting on hold since the beginning of the show. And I could take a break and say, I'll get to you on the other side. Let's just do it now. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
It's not anyone important, Grant.
Hector?
It is Hector.
I just mentioned your Ravens. It's like Beetlejuice. You had to be like, that's me.
Yeah, I was going to tell you to let him know not to worry too much because Flacco is elite. And all he's got to do is get the ball out quick because the secondary couldn't stop a nosebleed.
Yeah, Jair, you're probably not happy with Jair?
Oh, my God. It took me 4 seconds to realize that the Packers were not crazy to let that guy go. Oh, my goodness. And after his bonehead plays getting burned over and over, what does he decide to do? Oh, let me save this touchdown by tripping the guy so that they can run the clock all the way out. You absolute buffoon. I was just over it. Why'd you have to bring it up?
Sorry about that, Hector. What were you planning to bring to the table in your call? I have to do this, and I apologize. Sometimes someone will call in, and I'll be so excited, and I'll derail you. So what did you want to discuss?
Oh, I was actually going to begrudgingly talk about how watching the Packers defense last night just made me hate the Ravens a little bit more because that used to be me watching the Ravens defense just disrespect another team. It was crazy to watch. Jerry Jones can definitely build a championship roster. Unfortunately, he just can't do it in Dallas.
So, by the way, on the Ravens, and then I'll let you go after this, Hector, haven't we seen this before where the Ravens defense looks like a mess in the first month? And don't they always kind of figure it out? Do I have a wrong read on the Ravens the last couple of years? I kind of feel like that's what's about to happen. Again, I feel like it happens every year.
Every year. Yep. Okay. The script writers just get a little bit bored when they get to Baltimore, and we just got the same thing. In about 2 weeks, Harbaugh will go for it. Instead of tying up the game, he'll go for 2. Someone will drop it and we'll lose, and that'll be probably about 2 to 3 weeks from now. That's the next thing on the script. But yeah, the defense is going to lock in, and after that, it's all going to be about if Derrick Henry can hold on to the ball and if they can actually get a first down or not.
No, so I agree. Good luck to your Ravens. I'm excited to watch them against the Browns this weekend because that's the Packers' next opponent. 10 days from now, 9 days from now, the Packers have a couple extra days off before then a full week of preparation before traveling to Cleveland, their first road game. All right, enough hemming and hawing from me, enough from Ryan Wood. I want to hear from the rest of you. Hector in Alaska, that's a great start. Packers fans, your reaction to what you saw yesterday, 27-18 win over the Commanders. But I almost think today that game it's a smaller part of the big picture. This team feels, I don't know. I had a big cup of spicy ramen for lunch, so it could be that is sitting weird in my tummy, but I get football butterflies watching this team through 2 games and thinking about the possibilities of what they could accomplish if they continue on this trajectory. So from you, I want to hear your thoughts next. 608-321-1670.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
To me, the major difference with the NFL and college is like when one team is kicking someone's butt in college, typically the score reflects it. Like it's not even a close game. Yet in the NFL, through 3 quarters, I think by the end of 3 quarters, they might have been even. But at one point in time with a couple minutes left, the graphic comes up that the Green Bay Packers tight end, Tucker Kraft, had more yards than the entire Washington Commanders offense. Green Bay Packers kicked their ass, and they were still only up a touchdown.
Friend of show, John Middlecoff, on his live stream, his postgame last night after Packers Commanders. The Packers left a couple of plays out there. I also think that's the NFL. I think some Packers fans were losing their mind a little bit in the second half last night. We're going to nitpick throughout the show. The Packers weren't perfect. I also think that's the NFL. Like, these games don't go off the rails. It's really hard to blow doors in an NFL game and end a game before halftime. It's just not really how the sport works. So, yeah, the Packers could have done a couple of things a little bit better, maybe ended the game a little bit earlier. I never really felt like that game was in question. And the stats would certainly back it up. Holy cats. I mean, the Packers just pouring on the yards offensively. Everything was difficult for the Commanders. 2-year phone calls as promised. Got 4 of you on hold. I'll get to you all this segment, but we got to be efficient. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. This is Clemhead Mike. I just wanted to wish you a happy Friday. I'm retired, so I was teasing the lady at Culver's today. I said, isn't it Saturday? No, it's Friday. I said, oh, every day feels like Saturday to me. So
isn't it nice to not have to worry about that?
I can just watch people like you work just for me, just for my enjoyment.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a great game last night. Keyshawn Nixon was outstanding. I was just shocked how good he was. And you know, the pass rush is going to make the secondary a lot better this year. We're going to really see the benefits of having that Micah Parsons on there. So it was a great deal. Like I've said before, I posted before, Goody's first round picks haven't been stellar. So I think giving up 2 first round picks for Micah was genius. So yeah, somebody on the live stream yesterday posted that someday Goody will have a street named after him in Green Bay. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I think he should have a street named after him in Green Bay. Clemhead, I appreciate it. We just got loaded phone lines. I think he should have a building named after him at UW La Crosse if they're able to win a Super Bowl on his watch. Nixon is a player we haven't talked about. This is how the rest of the show is going to go. So we're going to take calls. We're going to play sound bites. Oh, yeah, and that player had a great game. And that player had a great game. Nixon was awesome. His biggest weakness, at least to me, a dum-dum, is not necessarily being positioned, but making a play on the ball when the ball arrives. He did that as well as I've ever seen him do it last night. Line number 2, Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, excellent interview with Ryan Wood. Great questions, especially that last one. Awesome. Awesome job.
He was
Hey,
fired up
you
to
know,
talk about
last-
that. I thank you for submitting a question, Tony.
Thank you. Hey, well, first of all, the Brewers are, they're really frustrating me. I hate to see them have this September swoon. They got to pick it up here against the Cardinals. But back to the Packers. Last year, I thought our 2 most consistent players were Josh Jacobs and our kicker McManus. Any argument?
No, I don't think so. I would agree.
They haven't even hit their stride yet. I mean, those 2, and we're seeing these guys like Kraft, Dobbs. I love when you have this take that they're growing up and being professional.
Yeah,
that is what I'm seeing. Like Wicks, has he dropped the ball yet? No.
Knock on wood. He had a grab breaking towards the sideline. I think it was with 14 seconds left in the half. Love put it out over the boundary, and Wicks caught it with his arms extended, stuck right to his hands, toe tap, out of bounds. Like, that's just a play that he's always been able to make, Tony, but consistently really wouldn't last season.
Yeah, and these guys are stepping up. Jaden Reed's hurt, and most years, like if Jordy Nelson got hurt, we'd be like, oh my God, the season's over with. No, we're good. We got plenty of depth. We're good. Defensively, this could be it's got to be a top 3 defense I've ever seen in my Packer fandom ever, going back to the early 80s. This defense is just flying around, making plays. And you think about it right now, Wyatt looks like a Pro Bowler, right?
Yeah. He's fun to watch, Tony.
Wyatt,
Sorry, I got to move along. Wyatt just explodes. And he's a fun player. Like, when he comes barreling up the middle through a gap, like, I just laugh. It reminds me of that play against the Jags last year. Remember when he just, like, belly bumped an O-lineman out of the way to get on a loose ball? Like, there's some explosion there. He's just getting better opportunities than he has before. Van Ness as well. Edgerrin Cooper came flying through to wrap up a running back last night. Like, all of those guys, Tony, on defense look like they have extra spring and extra speed. And on offense, yeah, it's a matter of just becoming a little bit more professional. Dontavian Wicks doesn't need to reinvent himself. Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs, they don't need to reinvent themselves. They just need to smooth out some of the finer parts of their game. That's what this offense was lacking last year. Wisco Sports Show, line 3. Who's this?
Jeez, Tony, take your tongue out of Grant's butt.
Well,
oh my God,
I'm kind of hosting a good show today, Dave. What do you want?
I know, but and by the way, Roman ramen noodles, real men don't eat ramen noodles. So, all right, now we got that out of the way. This might be the worst call I ever had today. I got nothing negative to say. It's all positive. The one thing I truly like with Green Bay is they're under center more, which allows the play action better, and he's throwing that they're taking their shots deep. Now, Love, he needs to work on his deep ball, and so the ball doesn't hang up, that type of thing. But they're throwing the ball deep with stretches, which I really like. He's under center, which I really like. But I'm still worried about Matt LaFleur. We just need somebody in the last 2 minutes to put a muzzle on him and don't allow him to coach the last 2 minutes each half. But other than that, no. I mean, plus, I like that. Hey, tell your buddy Mike the $47 million, and the guy only plays third down. I mean, we all could have such good work, huh?
He played like 60% of the snaps last night. Dave, I'm going to let you go. Have a great weekend, Dave. Thank you for the call. He played like 60-something. He played more snaps. And also, like, Dave, I know, well, you make all that money, you should play 100% of the snaps. Isn't that the idea of having Kingsley Enagbare and Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness and Wyatt and Wooden? You want to be able to rotate those guys in and out. So I don't know what the eventual goal is for Parsons, like when he's full bore, what his snap count is going to be or his percentage is going to be. He did say after the game last night, it's annoying. He's ready to be off a snap count. He said it's hurting me more than it's helping me. Like he's ready to rock and roll. I just don't know, like on the high end, the ultimate goal. He's played like 40 and then 60% of snaps, something like that. I don't know where he's going to end up. So we'll have to pay attention to that. One more call here this segment. And if you're on hold, I promise I'll get to you on the other side, but I got to get a break in here before 5 o'clock. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this? Hello.
Hello, this is Jesse Madison.
Jesse. What's up, Jesse?
Well, I just want to piggyback off your, $20,000 scratch ticket thing that you started the show with in terms of the swagger that these guys are walking around with now.
Yeah.
And the fact is, $20,000 is a way low estimation for what LPN is going to be making because his stat line is going to go up because Mike is there.
Yeah.
Like, if you get an extension with $2 or $3 extra million a year for 4 more years, that's 12, 14, 16,000 or million more dollars.
Yeah.
And they're good for them, man. Good for them.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. Well, I appreciate it. What's that, Jesse? One more thing?
Just it's real. Like the swagger is real. They're going to make that money because their stat lines are going to change because Mike is there.
Yeah. And I think the Packers, good example is in Philly, paying Micah Parsons and paying Jordan Love is great. You might not have money to keep Lucas Van Ness around, which is great. I mean, we're having this conversation. It's insane. Like, are we going to have the money to pay Lucas Van Ness? The Packers now in this position are going to have to draft the next guy. They're going to have to draft those rotational guys because they're paying the tippy top end guys. But Lucas Van Ness, yeah, better opportunities. Wooden, Wyatt, all those guys. I mean, we could do 5 minutes on each of those players on defense and how their life has been made better and easier by Micah Parsons' arrival. We still got loaded phone lines. I swear to God, if you're on hold right now, I'll get to you. I just got to get a 3-minute break in. We'll come back on the other side, wrap up hour number 1 with a couple more Packers calls.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bill on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show. Got a couple minutes here before we got to wrap hour one. We got loaded phone lines, and I want to get everybody in as quick as possible reacting to last night's Packers win. Line one, Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, it's Q.
Hey, Q, what's going on?
An amazing Friday. This is a great day.
I haven't felt this way about the Packers in a while, Q. Hey.
I mean, I'm so critical of LaFleur and Goody, but like, I gotta hand it to him. Like, even the offense, that first drive, I was like, uh-oh, like, is this going to be it? But no, they turned around and scored on the next drive. So I'm just, even the Reed injury, like, it seems like it'll be a blessing in disguise. He can get his foot healed up. The younger guys can get some more reps, and maybe we'll trade for another wideout. But how about Tucker Kraft? That guy's amazing.
I also think he's just turning into a star. And I loved the breakdown that Ryan Wood gave us. Q, I appreciate it. This offense loves to push the ball down the field. Their best player might be Tucker Kraft. And it seems at least through 2 games, they've found a way to combine those 2 things, which is something they struggled to do last year. Not a lot of deep targets for Kraft in terms of air yards. He can catch and run a long way, but in terms of passing the ball in the air, 10 or more yards, it seems like they've found something new this year, which makes sense. Their best pass catcher, the thing they like doing, now they've been able to marry those 2 things. All right, time for 1 or 2 more here before the top of the hour. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant, Greg on the Beltline here.
Hey, what's going on, Greg? Is the Beltline loaded or is it okay?
Yo, dude, it's actually not that bad for Friday.
Okay.
One, it sucks about Reed, but this is where it's nice having 5 wide receiver twos. Someone will step up, so it'll be all good. And 2, I'm not a football nerd, so I'm curious your thoughts. It feels like in the Matt LaFleur era, we always have this quarter worth of lull.
Sure.
Like we get out to this hot start and then a lull. And I'm just, it's like I don't know what that's about. And that makes me nervous. But I love the team, excited for him, but I just feel like that's a consistency that we have this little down in the court for, end of the second to the middle of the third where we just can't do anything.
Yeah, the Matt LaFleur lull, I appreciate the call. Thanks, Greg, being out on the Beltline. All right, there's 2 of you on hold. I just don't want to cut you off fast. So if you can hang for 4 minutes until after Zach's update, we'll have all the time in the world to start the next hour. And if not, I'm sorry, we'll talk a different time, but hold on there if you can, and I'll get to you. The Matt LaFleur lull thing, this was a thing in his first year. They'd start hot, they'd have a great first half, and then the spigot would kind of shut off. Last night, I think some of it was just the flow of the game. And this is true against Detroit, too, where Detroit would put together a long drive that would end in a field goal. The Packers would get the ball back. They scored in 2 plays. Offense goes right back to the bench. So it's felt like there have been longer stretches where the offense has been on the sideline just because of the flow of the game. Sometimes that's how football works. It's not always like baseball where it goes top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom. It has a much clearer rhythm, although longer layoffs can, you wonder how this longer layoff will impact certain pitchers. We say that all the time. One thing that I liked, and the Packers had a clunker. They had a 3-and-out right after Washington scored to make it a 2-score game. They had a clunker, right? They went run, pass. They were backed up against their own goal line. And we all saw that and went, oh, brother. I will say, I would prefer the Packers to score on every drive. We all agree on that. Since that is not a reality, what I liked about last night, and to kind of further the point that Greg made, this Matt LaFleur lull, sometimes we see that. After the Packers went 3-and-out, the defense got him the ball back, and they went down and scored a touchdown. And Matt LaFleur opened the bag. They were running sweeps to Golden. They were running sweeps to Savion Williams. And the way that a dummy, not a football nerd at all, but the way that I perceived that is, well, the Packers want to be able to run the ball. It seems with 2 backup O-linemen and whatever looks the Commanders are throwing at them, they're really struggling to do that. Well, okay, let's run the ball with our wide receivers out onto the boundary, because maybe Belton or maybe Jordan Morgan at guard, who had an up-and-down game, maybe they can't seal blocks, but we love the way our wide receivers can block. So let's get out on the boundary, right? Both Williams and Golden had big runs on that drive. So I like the fact that they bounced back from probably their worst series of the night with one of their best drives of the night. That shows you have a bad drive, don't let it turn into a quarter or a half. They didn't allow that last night, at least in the second half, which I liked. Hour number 2, if you're on hold, stay there. More of your Packers calls next. First, an update from Zach.
This is the Wisconsin Sports Zone Update.
Well, for the 3rd time under Matt LaFleur and the first time since 2020, the Packers are 2-0. They got there after another dominating effort, taking care of Washington last night, 27-18. The offense had a couple of touchdown drives with 90-plus yards, and the defense sacked Jaden Daniels 4 times and held Washington under 250 yards. But everyone, including LaFleur, knows 2 weeks don't make a season.
Yeah, I think it's great, but it's just a start. I mean, there's a long season ahead of us. You can't take it for granted. I think that you got to keep competing, pushing. There was opportunities to really put this game away tonight, and I don't think we did that. So it gives me a lot of ammo when we get with the guys on Monday to kind of get after them a little bit.
Injuries also notable coming out of the game as wide receiver Jaden Reed was lost with a broken collarbone. NFL Network reporting the hope is he could be back in 6 to 8 weeks. The Packers will get a mini bye this weekend before heading on the road for the first time next Sunday in Cleveland. Turning to the Badgers, they're headed to Alabama today. So we're going to take on the Crimson Tide tomorrow. Wisconsin, a 20.5-point underdog. Biggest underdog they've been since 1996. Tomorrow is slated for 11.
You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer. Did you know they also offer a competitive home, auto, business, and life insurance? They make it convenient to bundle your insurance while saving you time and money. Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, after a day off, Brewers going to be back in action tonight as St. Louis comes to town for a weekend series. Milwaukee has lost 3 straight, but could still clinch a playoff berth this weekend. Crew's lead in the NL Central stands at 5.5 games on Chicago. First pitch tonight is set for 7:10. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Lay out for a second because this crowd has something to say. I know you guys know what they're saying. They're saying, thank you, Jerry.
We got to consistently put that effort, that energy every week, and then great things can happen. We can get back to that goal. I don't want to compare myself to Reggie at all. He had like 70 sacks in 4 years, but if I could just come close to his legacy, I'd be a very happy person.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
It's Micah Parsons on the Amazon Prime Thursday Night Football postgame last night. Thank you, Jerry. Chance of thank you, Jerry. Very funny. The shot in the arm that cat has given to the entire Packers locker room, but especially the players around him on that Packers defense it leaps off the TV screen when you watch. So we'll talk more about that. There's one caller left on hold. Sorry, I couldn't get to you in hour number 1, but let's get to him now. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
It's the Bronze Boomer.
Hey, Pete, what's going on?
Well, I'm just calling to say that, I don't have any, I'm not an NFL fan, but I watch kinda, but the Packer fans are really spoiled and really, you really think that, the championship every year ought to be yours. But when you look at things, they've since 1960, and I've seen every championship game the Packers have been in since 1960, and they've won. They've won 7 and lost 3. That's pretty good, but most of that was, like 65 years ago.
Yeah.
So, it's just like, and then you always want to fire somebody, and you're not any good, and you suck, and but you were really good when football was a lot different than now. Since this century you've been in one championship game, but still it's like Lambeau it's a cathedral, it's a special place.
Well, it is.
It's hallowed ground.
Well, it is.
Well, it hasn't been in a championship games lately. The NFC championships.
So here's what I'm confused by. You're saying that we're spoiled. And I talked about that to begin the show, and I'll circle back when we're done chatting, Pete, and I'll kind of reiterate those thoughts. But now you're saying, whoa, how great is Lambeau? It hasn't even been. But now you're talking spoiled. Like, it's only been in one championship game this century. So I guess I'm confused.
I'm not spoiled. I'm just making an observation. I wasn't born here, but I lived here most of my life. But I grew up with Lombardi, and I watched all those games, and and they were far and away the best team. But that's that's the frozen tundra and hallowed ground of Lambeau Field and all that stuff. That has to do with, you know, the 60s, not lately. And you know, I mean, yeah, Favre and Rodgers were great quarterbacks, but mostly they were big stat compilers. And when it came down to, you know, winning the gold, they didn't do it. So I just make an observation, and I'm not being a troll.
No. And Pete, there's many things that we would probably disagree on, although I love your calls, and I'm glad that you listen and still call my show. I appreciate it, Pete. I would never accuse you of being a troll. You and Dave from Monona, you both elicit reactions. That's Pete from Monona, by the way. They're kind of the angel and the devil on each other's shoulders, or on the show's shoulders, I guess, in that analogy. I would never accuse either of you of being a troll. I fully believe that both of you believe everything that you say. I don't know. I guess I don't really grasp the point of your call, Pete. And that doesn't mean you're wrong. I'm not really I don't really fully know what you're getting at. Like, well, Lambeau's hallowed ground, but I mean, how many Super Bowls they won recently? Well, yeah, but it'd be like visiting Jerusalem and going to see the tomb of Jesus. I mean, like, wow, we're in a special place. Whether or not you believe in Christ, right? That would generally be regarded by anyone who were to visit the tomb of Jesus. You'd be like, wow. And then imagine being the guy who's like, well, no one's resurrected themselves out of this in like 2,000 years. How special is it? It's like, okay, but it's still the spot though, Pete. I don't know. I said back at 4:00, I thought about Packers fans being spoiled today. And I even texted a buddy in a group chat. We talked about this because during Bill's show, right, we talked about the Packers. Great win, 2-0. Great spot. Micah Parsons shot in the arm of the organization. Great. And then we spent a good amount of Bill's show, nitpicking. And that's what sports radio is for. What are we doing here if we're not going to say, well, what the hell happens with the special teams penalties? And, why Jordan Love missed that throw over the middle? That's why we're here. So nitpicking is good. But some of the nitpicks that I read on Bill's live stream, or, some callers who called in, it's like, well, Jordan Love's really got to start to figure it out. Guys, I know he's not perfect, but he made 4 or 5 throws last night that are like, oh, there's like 2 quarterbacks in football who can make those throws. And it's probably Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. And that's it. I'm talking about 14 seconds left in the half. You're on the wrong side of midfield trying to go get a field goal. Jordan Love takes the snap, drifts back 12 yards to the far hash, and rips one to the right sideline and puts it on a dot right above the line to Dontavian Wicks, who then steps out of bounds to perfectly set up a field goal. We have been so used to great elite quarterback play for so long. We know how to recognize a special throw. When Jordan Love drops one in the bucket, like Packers fans, we can call balls and strikes enough to go, oh my God. But for Packers fans, so many throws that are not routine have become routine in our eyes. And Jordan Love had like 4 or 5 of them last night. And the best throw, I think, for the second straight game was one that didn't count, or one that didn't work. Last night it didn't count. That touchdown to Jaden Reed that was right over the pylon over 2 defenders, I think was his best throw of the night. And it didn't count because it came back for a holding penalty. On Sunday, I thought his best throw was to Jaden Reed down the sideline, who dropped it. It went right through his hands. So, yes, I realized that Jordan Love missed Matthew Golden in the end zone. It was a rather disjointed play at the line of scrimmage. They wanted to hurry up, but then they couldn't hurry up, but then they still acted like they were hurrying up at the line. That whole thing just felt, even though they got a wide open guy, it just felt like that was doomed from the start. Jordan Love overthrew Matthew Golden on a 50-yard tank by like 6 inches. And I got to read comments on Bill's live stream. They're like, when's Jordan Love going to figure out the deep ball? Well, I don't know. Yeah, he was a couple inches too far on that ball. Did you guys watch the rest of the game? Like, you understand that some of the throws that this cat is making are not normal throws. It's him and Herbert, maybe Allen and Mahomes. Like, that's it. Those are the only guys in football who can rip some of the passes that we saw him rip last night. And we've been watching quarterbacks make throws like that for 30 years. And I don't know, guys. I'm not telling you Jordan Love is Patrick Mahomes. I'm not telling you he's the best quarterback in the league. I think he's fighting for the right to be in that second tier beneath Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, and Lamar. And I think he's fighting to be in that next tier. I think that's where he belongs right now. But I don't know. Pete talked about being spoiled. And Pete, you took that call in some area. I don't know what to do with all that. Just watching and evaluating Jordan Love last night. I was watching highlights before bed last night. I'm just laughing at some of these throws. And I want to make sure, Packers fans, you're grasping that these are not, like, Mac Jones isn't making that throw. You know what I mean? Like Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, like they're not dropping 12 yards back to the far hash, throwing a seed on an outbreaker. There's 3 or 4 arms on the planet that can do that. And Jordan Love's one of them. So that's when we talk about being spoiled, and I hate being called spoiled by other fan bases. Lions fans, you guys are so spoiled. Well, yeah, I have seen a Super Bowl. I've also watched my team lose 4 NFC championship games in 7 years. Like that's not very fun. I don't feel very spoiled watching that. So I won't take the spoiled comments from outside the house. Sometimes I think someone needs to make that call inside the house. So I'm making it very gently. I'm not lecturing you. I'm just reminding you, like, hey, make sure you appreciate some of the throws that Jordan Love is making, because he was hanging his hose all over the place last night, even though he missed a couple. Luckily, it didn't matter because the defense was busting balls every single play. Like, God, that defense is fast. 608-321-1670. Back to your phone calls. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Mike in Eau Claire.
Hey, Mike, what's going on?
Man, it's all about defense, man. I can't believe it, but we have it again, man. I haven't seen this since Reggie White. When Reggie White came to the Packers, I was 14 years old. I haven't seen a defense like this. They're going to stop. We don't need the offense to be perfect right now.
Yeah.
We don't need that. We just need the defense to just keep doing what they're doing. We'll be all right.
Well, I appreciate that, Mike. Your tenor sounded like you were going to make another point. I appreciate it. That's Mike up in Eau Claire. Mike, not to judge your voice, I would have guessed that you were 14 when Reggie White got here. I would have guessed you were a little bit older than that. You have a very mature, stoic voice. Talking about the defense, Pete Doherty wrote a column this week, and we talked about it on Bill's show. Pete was on Start Hour 3, so if you want to hear that interview, Pete Doherty's always, I think he's great. I think him and Bill do a great, those two specifically play off each other really well. And at the beginning of the third hour, so find that in the podcast. But he wrote a column about, like, for the first time in how long could this be actually a defense first team? But typically on defense first teams, it's like the 2018 Bears, where it's like, yeah, Khalil Mack and everybody's just going to kick everybody's ass, and you hope Mitch Trubisky in the running game can do enough. This offense can sling it. They have a ton of guys. They have Josh Jacobs, who, like, oh yeah, that's right, Josh Jacobs is on the team. That's right. They don't really talk about it. There's not much drama there, right? There's no real questions or issues to be asked or solved. But, that's right. On top of it all, they have Josh Jacobs, who's one of the better backs in the league. So the idea that this team could be a defense first team, considering how dangerous and explosive their offense can be, is pretty crazy. 608-321-1670. More of your Packers calls. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant. Brett, formerly of lacrosse.
Brett, now it has been, when you say formerly, where are you now?
Minneapolis.
I'll be in Minneapolis this evening, actually. I'm going up there to see some family. Well, what did you think? It's been so long, Brett. I've lost a concept of your takes and what you believe. Normally when people call in, I'm like, okay, they probably think this about that. It's been so long since we've talked. I wouldn't even know.
Yeah, well, I've just been living it up and unfortunately having to listen to K-Fan all the time until I come to pick my girls up in Rochester and I get to listen to you. We're spoiled right now. We haven't been able to say that as a state very often. To have the best team in baseball, currently the best team in the NFL, just because we played one more game, which we could be the best going forward too. Who knows? The Badgers until tomorrow are undefeated. We got nothing really to hang our heads on right now to be disappointed in, and it's a good time to be a Wisconsin fan in general. And I just want everybody to understand and realize that I get to listen to all the complaining up in Minnesota all the time. And I just get to sit there and wear my Brewers and Packers and just basically tell people, I don't care what you think.
Yeah. You should act better than everybody up there, Brett. I appreciate it. That's a good message. I don't have anything against K-Fan. Like when there's a big Viking story or something, maybe I'll throw it on in the morning. Everybody likes a Power Trip morning show. And it's tough to just drop in on a show and like it because you need to get familiar with how the show works, and you need to build your 10,000 hours as a listener to kind of get the lore and the inside jokes and all the callers. But every time I turn on K-Fan, it's always like, let's say like the Wolves are getting ready for a game against, the Clippers. And every time I listen to K-Fan, all the hosts are always like, man, they got nothing for us. Man, we got Karl Anthony Towns and they can't stop us. It's like I understand sometimes you say we, the Packers, we play on Sunday. I get it. I'm not saying you can never say that, but on K-Fan, it's like we, us, them, us, we, us. It's like, oh my God. I could just feel the Travis Matthew hats through the radio speakers. But some good hosts. If I listen to it routinely, I'd probably like it. Not the point, though, I know Brett. Although Minnesota sports fans got it okay as well right now. Nothing to hang our head on. I don't know. The Packers have given us a good excuse to not really acknowledge what the Brewers are doing right now, which is nothing crazy impressive. 2 more calls here, and then we'll take our break. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant, this is Adam from Lone Rock chiming in.
Lone Rock?
Yes, sir.
I'm embarrassed to not know where that is. Well, tell me, Adam in Lone Rock, what you want to talk about with the Packers while I Google where that is, because I'm curious.
It's just a shade west of Spring Green.
Ah, okay, yeah. Oh, it's right on the river. This is beautiful. I think you got the right idea.
I just wanted to call and touch base. Kind of like just a little thing on the Pete phone call. Like it's fine for him to think that we're a little bit jaded or wearing the glasses as Packer fans, but almost everyone nationally feels the same exact way about Lambeau. So I don't know what their agenda is as far as holding it to such the regard that they do nationally, if not internationally.
Isn't it pretty funny? Like every time I watch a primetime game, Adam, I love that Al Michaels or Joe Buck, whoever, and we're here at Lambeau, just a cathedral of football. Like how sick and tired do you think Vikings and Bears and Lions fans are? Like, ugh. And I love that they have to get that shoved down their throat. That makes me laugh.
Yeah, I hope it makes them extremely nauseous every single time. I was fortunate enough to be at the game last night. I decided to call in when you were talking about Love's plus throws or whatever you want to call them. The best throw I thought he made all night was the one that Reed made and got hurt on, unfortunately. That didn't even count, But I've been saying for a while, just they had to pay him what they're paying him because of the market. You know what I mean? But I hope he's the most arm-talented game manager of all time, and we just continue to bludgeon people to run game and defense. I have little to no problem with that.
You paid him what you had to pay him. That's the going rate, right, Adam? Like we can sit here and we can argue all day about whether he's worth it or not. Look, he's not Mac Jones. He's not Brock Purdy. Like he can make throws that only the best quarterbacks can make. Now the consistency can wax away a little bit, but the ceiling's there.
The arm talent's better than the people he's tiered with and in that market value slot of quarterbacks by a long shot, largely. You know what I mean? So he's picking it up cognitively, and as much as anything, whenever I watch him play, is the decision making, whether he makes the throw or not. And where he was putting boundary throws, not even in red zone or time situations, he was not putting the ball in harm's way almost at all last night. It was catch or deflection or out of bounds. Those were the end results of almost every ball he threw yesterday. So
I agree.
I am totally encouraged, and just want to say Edrin Cooper is without doubt, he's just flashing in a way that I was hoping they would when you drafted him, and he's definitely an eraser. And watching him and Parsons out on the field together, we are spoiled in that regard. But it's on the defensive side of the ball, so we should be gluttonous with that as far as I'm concerned. So.
Oh yeah. And they're fast, Adam. Thank you for listening in Lone Rock. They're all so fast. There's so much speed on that defense. So I know exactly where Lone Rock is. Why did this not clock with me? The 14, man, you hop on 14 to leave Madison to go west of Viroqua. Oh my, I mean, listen to this string of towns: Middleton, Cross Plains, Black Earth, Mazomanie, Arena, Spring Green, Lone Rock, Gotham, Sextonville, Ridgeland Center, Boaz. Oh, Bosstown, who could forget Bosstown, Reedstown, and then you're right up there. Liberty Pole on the left, Liberty and Viola on the right, and then right into Viroqua. Oh, that's good. That's good stuff, Adam. Hell yeah. I don't really have anything to add to his call. It was a very well-presented call. I have nothing to add. 10 out of 10. One more call here, and then we'll go to break. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Ridge Runner Mark, how are we doing, sir?
Hey, Ridge Runner Mark. I'm doing excellent. This is honestly as excited as I've been about the Packers in a while.
Yeah, you feel really, really good about their chances when they have a defense that can just kind of I was slightly worried in the fourth quarter of Jay Daniels does this. He always gets touchdowns late in the game, but they never got their momentum going. But talking about Love and, versus Rodgers versus Favre, I think we also still need to remember it's only his third year playing. And the pass to Golden where he was wide open essentially and Love just slightly overthrew him. A lot of quarterbacks overthrow routes like that, especially early in the year, especially with the wide receiver they haven't done a lot of work with.
Yeah.
But the one thing I noticed that Love has improved, he's hitting guys in stride.
Yeah. It felt like a couple of those dump offs to Kraft or to guys in the flat. Like it felt like those balls were really well located last night. I agree.
Yeah, there's like, if you go back to the Cowboys playoff beatdown where he threw a pass to, I think it was Musgrave wide open. Musgrave had to stop and come back for it a little bit.
Yeah, I
and
remember.
then turn around and run. I think that same pass, now he'd be hitting him in stride and he would just grab the ball and go.
Fall
So
over,
I think
probably.
that's
But he wouldn't have to turn around before falling over, at least.
Yeah, right? But it's the natural progression that you see that I think it's too subtle to catch. We got to really think about it and really lock in. It's like he's not making it by leaps and bounds, but he's still improving every time, and it's really good to see.
Yeah, and I think ball placement, Ridge Runner Mark, I appreciate the call. Have a good weekend. I think it was pretty excellent across the board. Now, he missed a couple of throws. The two throws that he missed, or the two that comes to mind, were shots further down the field to Matthew Golden. And if you don't take my word for it, talk to any Packers beat writer. We have them all on the show. I listen to all these interviews, and they all say the thing that takes the most time, the thing that takes the most chemistry building are those deep shots. So it's not a total surprise. Jordan Love's not going to make every throw anyways. Newsflash, Packers fans. He's going to occasionally miss one. Rodgers and Favre miss some too. Josh Allen, Mahomes, they'll miss passes as well. I thought, for the most part, on a micro level, the ball was really well located. He left one a little inside to Wicks early on, but because the route was run so well, and they used pre-snap motion so well with Wicks a couple of times, to just kind of angle the corner and get the corner backpedaling and moving in a way where that outbreaking route was more risk-free. The ball didn't necessarily need to be all the way out there because that pre-snap motion got the corner moving and got the corner kind of pivoting and turning in a way where they weren't able to cut off that sideline. They weren't able to cut out that outbreaking route. And most of those balls on those outbreaking routes were placed perfectly. There was one to the left where he left a little bit inside to Wicks, but because the motion established that route in the place so well, it didn't even matter. And a nice play by Wicks, kind of reach back over his shoulder to grab it and turn upfield towards the sideline. Got to get a break in. I'll continue to take your calls. I have some audio that we can play, some Packers beat writers and voices throughout the day that we can kind of play and have some fun with as well. Today's National Holy Crap, the Packers Are Good Day on social media and sports talk television and radio. It's been very fun. We'll continue next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Halfley, I can't sing that guy's praises enough. That wasn't ass kicking. This guy's good. I got to be honest. I remember years ago, he was on the staff for Chip Kelly with the 49ers. And I used to go to these practices. And I remember looking at him. He's pretty small, skinny, just kind of looks kind of geeky. But I remember thinking like, God, this guy. And then Chip got fired and Kyle Shanahan kept him. And he was on the staff for a couple of years. I remember talking to someone about him. Like this guy, I'd never met him. I didn't know anything about him. I was just judging him off the way he looked. Like this skinny little white guy who's coaching DBs. And if he went to practice, like he's coaching his ass off. I remember asking someone, they're like, I'm telling you, John, he's actually a pretty good coach. So I was like, hey, man, you can't judge a book by its cover. And then he goes on to Ohio State, and look at him now. He's a stud. Just judging him on the practice field, I'm like, this guy?
That's John Middlecoff. His live stream last night. I got a couple more sound bites. I just thought he did a great job recapping the game. I always want to consume content right after the game. I can't go to sleep. There's an endless internet out there of people saying things and tweeting things. What am I supposed to do? Not stay up and consume that? A couple of texts coming in. Clumhead Mike says, Grant, Dave from Monona being positive. Am I watching The Twilight Zone or am I watching Grant Bills? A little bit of both. Although Dave from Monona did say that Matt LaFleur needs to be, he needs to have his coaching privileges taken away in the final 2 minutes of the half in the game. And I don't know exactly what he's referring to. I wasn't going to bog down the show by asking him. I'm just going to let that one go. Todd and Holman says, Pete from Monona is a funny, funny man. Packers fans are and should be full of pride for their hallowed ground, as should the Steelers, the 49ers, etc. We have done what many organizations will only ever dream of. Correct. I still don't know that I fully grasp what Pete was going for. And I love Pete. And I look forward to the time that he calls next. But you can't be like, well, Lambeau, sure. But, I mean, when was the last time they were in a Super Bowl? It's like, well, yeah, but again, I'll use the same analogy. It's like going to Jerusalem to the tomb of Jesus. Be like, wow, this is a special place. And then someone would be like, well, yeah, but the last time anybody resurrected out of this thing was like 2,000 years ago. How special is it really? Like, okay, but that doesn't take away. Whatever. Bobby in Menominee says, KFan is the only flagship station to host a rival pregame show for the past 30 years. Packers with Dave Sinekin. Yeah, he's good job. Yeah. I don't mind listening to sports talk shows in other markets. Like I listen to a good amount of Boston because of our guy, friend of show, Mike Felger. I enjoy the way he does a show. It's very entertaining. I just need my 4 hours of sports radio brain rot every day. Sometimes I like listening to certain sports talk shows talk about the Niners in San Francisco. I used to listen to more 670 The Score. Now I don't know. Parkins isn't there. Bernstein isn't there. Sometimes if there's big breaking Bears news or Cubs news, I'll tune in, but they're never as angry as I want them to be. Like I tuned into 670 The Score Tuesday morning and I was watching a lot of their coverage online and they just like, why are you guys not blowing a gasket right now at Caleb Williams? I don't understand it. Well, Grant, it's only one game. Yeah, but we got a show to do on Tuesday. All right. What we do on Thursday or Friday, we can start to bring in some, well, we shouldn't be too harsh. The new offensive coordinator for Caleb Williams. Yeah, but on Tuesday, dude, you got to blow a lid. Like, I don't know. I was left underwhelmed. Johnny Driftless with some corrections. You are correct. It's Viola, not Viola. I apologize for my pronunciation. And he says, and Gotham, the G is them. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. You find me a sports radio person who's doing a statewide network or statewide coverage who knows even close to where Gotham is, however it's pronounced, and I will quit my job. I'll quit my job. I was listening to a Milwaukee sports because I spin the dial. I talk about this. I keep an ear to our competitors, the other people doing sports talk radio in the markets in which we're on. I was listening to a Milwaukee host this morning who was reading a text, and I don't mean to rip this guy, but he got a text from a farmer or something, I assume, talking about plans for the weekend or something. I don't know. And the word silage was used. farmers are chopping corn and chopping it up for silage. And then often you put the plastic over the top. And then what a lot of farms will do is you'll throw tires on there to weigh it down over that plastic wrap, that kind of shrimp wrap stuff. And I used to do that in high school. One of my best friends in high school lived on a dairy farm, and we'd go over there and we'd dick around in the woods, just guy stuff, shoot each other with paintball guns or, try to jump over electric fences, stuff that kids never do these days, by the way. So we dick around, but every once in a while, if I got to have a sleepover at this fella's house, it would be expected that I would pitch in with chores, feeding calves in the morning. You ever feed calves when it's 5 degrees below zero? Crise lay son. Those stupid animals. You bottle feed some of them, but then you eventually got to wean them off the bottle to drink out of the bucket. The problem is the calf doesn't realize. So what you literally have to do is take the calf's head, stick it in there until it realizes what's happening. And you take a city folk out there, you're drowning the calf. Stop it. Okay, well, it's 5 degrees below zero. This calf is either going to start drinking or my hand is going to fall off. So stick its head in there. Back to the original point, silage. You would, chop the silage up, put it on a big mound, you pull the plastic over, and you throw the tires to weigh it down. And I would do this, you get paid cash. And then, you'd keep the German Shepherd nearby because there would be rats in the tires. And then the dog would love to chase the rats around. This is a common Wisconsin thing. And I was listening to this sports radio host in Milwaukee this morning. Someone texts in and say, yeah, we're cutting silage. And this knob said sillage. Oh, God. So sorry if I did not know how to pronounce Gotham. Again, you find another sports radio host who knows exactly where that is. I'll drive through Gotham tonight. No, I won't tonight, but I will next weekend, to be clear. I will two of the next 2 weekends. A week from today, we'll be live at Lacrosse Beer House in Lacrosse, corner of 3rd and Pearl, as a little bit of an Oktoberfest primer. Be in town just because why not? Playing some gigs between Friday and Saturday night. By the way, come to the Popcorn later on Friday night. You want some live music? And then we'll be back for the real thing, tapping the golden can 2 weeks from today. Be there with Michelob Ultra at Flipside Pub and Grill first thing in the morning. Yeah. Mick Golden, not Mick Ultra, but you know what I mean. I kind of lit that segment on fire. My apologies. We were a little bit behind anyway, so this is a natural place to take a break. I'll take more of your calls on the other side. And I have an audio cut from Pete Doherty and another from Aaron Nagler, and I want to compare the two and laugh a little bit, and I'll explain why on the other side.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
You know, it's funny. I asked, final question I asked in the locker room last night before leaving, going back up to the press box, was to Josh Jacobs. And, he just talked about, how good it felt to be 2-0. And I said, Josh, it's not just 2-0. 2-0 on its own is wonderful. It's great. But 2-0 against these two teams, what does that tell you?
Yeah.
And he looked at me, he tried to find the words, and he eventually said, ask me again in November. I might have a better answer for you then. So, yeah, I mean, there is certainly a recognition of what this is not. This is not a trophy.
Yeah.
This does not mean anything about the next 15 games. But if you came into the season thinking the Lions and Commanders are going to be two of the top teams in the NFC, well, the Packers just beat them 54-31 combined.
That's Ryan Wood. If you missed his appearance in the first hour of the show, you can catch it in the podcast. Go up just after 6 o'clock. And I said, Ryan, doesn't it feel like this team's different? Like, I know it's 2 games. And I know they got to stay healthy. It's a long season. And I'm not telling you we're going to win the Super Bowl. But, man, this team feels something different. A little extra spice, a little extra sugar. I'm going to get back to your phone calls here in just a minute. Before we went to break, I said, I want to play you a soundbite from Aaron Nagler and another from Pete Doherty. And we're going to laugh. And I'll explain why, and you're going to understand where I'm going with this. This is Aaron Nagler last night. I cut this from the Cheesehead TV feed because I agree with this. I relate a lot to this. So here's 50 seconds. Friend of show, Aaron Nagler. He joined us at Radio Row at the Super Bowl talking about his current feelings on the Packers.
I'm trying right now. I'm trying real hard to stay level-headed. But let me tell you something. This team is going to be a problem for each and every team they face in the 2025 NFL season. Not saying they're going to go undefeated. Not saying they're going to go on some huge magical run. Got to go 1-0 every week. It's real. Don't get it twisted. I understand all the misgivings, all the complaints, the special teams, the lulls on offense, some of the stuff given up on defense. I get it. It's legit. I understand. I'm not saying you're crazy for thinking about it or for complaining. I understand. I just want you to know, laying over all of that is a really good football team that is going to be a major problem for the rest of the league for the duration of this season.
So that's Aaron Nagler explaining kind of what I was just saying. And I don't want to get out over my skis. And I'm certainly not going to call a deep playoff run or a Super Bowl in September, but man, it's hard not to dream, right? So that's Aaron Nagler last night. Let me play you a cut from Pete Doherty at the beginning of the third hour Bills show. Check it out on the podcast. Pete's excellent every time he comes on. This is Pete Doherty.
I don't know, Bill. It's just
it just feels different. And a lot, it's so early. You don't want to say anything stupid, because so much can happen. But it feels different. They're playing that half tick faster, and they've got some really stud players especially with Parsons and Cooper. That's two really, really talented players. They've got something going. It's a long season. They got to stay healthy, but this is shaping up to be really interesting.
And the reason that I think it's funny playing those clips back to back is they're saying the exact same thing. Pete Doherty's version of saying, holy crap, this team is good, is, it could be interesting.
This is shaping up to be really interesting.
It's just very funny to me as someone who books a lot of Packers writers, and I listen to these interviews with Bill, and then we have Ryan Wood and Bukowski and, all these guys on, Andy Herman. Nagler's like, man, this team is an effing they're going to be a problem for every opponent. And Pete Doherty's saying the exact same thing, but in a Pete way by saying,
this is shaping up to be really interesting.
Hey guys, it's shaping up to be interesting, which is Pete's way of saying, holy crap, this team is full of studs. This team's amazing. I don't want to get out over my skis, but this could be an awesome season.
This is shaping up to be really interesting.
It's shaping up to be interesting. I love Pete so much. And that's, by the way, I like Nagler too. It's just funny how two people who cover the same team can say the same thing in very different words.
This is shaping up to be really interesting.
Indeed it is. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. It's Coyote Mike.
Hey,
on a
Coyote
Friday
Mike.
night.
How's it going? How are things out in Colorado?
Oh, it's feeling like fall.
Good.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was some snowflakes flying around way up in the high peaks up there this afternoon.
Up in the mountains.
So, been a while. I was back in Wisconsin, back in La Crosse last month, and I was up on the ridge, stayed with my friend up there. So shout out to Ridge Runner Mark. But hey, Grant, what was Matt LaFleur in such a tizzy about there on the sidelines when they were showing? Did you catch that explanation?
I don't know if he addressed it in his presser. I don't think he did, because I listened to it twice today, once in the morning and then again on Bill's show. But I think we all pieced it together. Kingsley Enagbari was going to run on the field because I think he thought they were kicking a field goal. And because he did that, even though he briefly ran on and then briefly ran off, I think that signals to the referees that there's substitutions, which means then the refs have to hold up play to allow the other team to substitute, which the Packers did not want. So Enagbari, not knowing what was going on in that situation, cost the Packers an opportunity to run the play against the personnel that they wanted, with the speed that they wanted to run it. It may have not been Enagbari's fault. Maybe a coach told him. I don't know, but that's why Matt LaFleur was all gassed up.
Yeah, there were several times where that ref kept standing there blocking the ball from being snapped, and we're like, what the heck's going on?
Yeah.
They all look set and everything like that. So I'm glad for Matt LaFleur that season's starting off so well. I think it surely takes a lot of pressure off of him. And, do you chalk it all up to Micah Parsons? Or is he contributing to some of that? I mean, if he wasn't on the team, would they still be performing this way? I don't know.
It's something I hadn't thought about. Like, if they hadn't traded for Micah Parsons, are they still 2-0? Do they still win those two games?
Yeah.
They
exactly.
felt like the significantly better team in both matchup. But I think Micah Parsons is the type of player, Coyote Mike, makes everyone else around him on the field better. And the trade for Micah Parsons is such a big shot in the arm to the whole organization. I don't know. I don't know how to quantify or describe how they would have looked without this trade over the last two games.
Well, you got to say too is like, really, who cares? Just enjoy it while it lasts, right? So the last thing I want to say is the Brewers got to get their act together here. They had a bunch of bad breaks over, against the Rangers there, but they got to shake some of that dark cloud off.
Yeah,
so,
they gotta get 2 or 3, especially with what's going on with the Phillies. The Cubs won today. Appreciate it, Coyote Mike. Good luck out there in the mountains as it starts to snow. The Brewers need 2 or 3 this weekend in the worst way. We haven't really covered the Brewers. If this was a 4-hour show, we'd talk a little bit more Brewers, but it's 2 hours and the Packers just traded for Micah Parsons and they're 2-0. So I hope you understand why this show has been programmed the way that it's been programmed. Although I gave you a Brewers lead the other night. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, what possible reason do we have to not get out over our skis at this moment?
I mean, we've seen lots of teams start fast and then cool off. I don't know. That's football. That's sometimes the way that a 17-game NFL season works.
Yeah, but this is like the most dominant, in my opinion, some of the most dominant football we've seen the Packers string together. And I had questions after the Lions week, just because I don't believe in the Lions this year. I think the Lions take a major step back. The Commanders, it's possible Jaden Daniels has a sophomore slump, but I mean, from what we've seen from this team so far, I don't know why we're thinking anything but Super Bowl.
Well, because I think another reason is I feel ridiculous sitting here on September 12th saying Super Bowl. Like I just feel ridiculous participating in that, whether it's fair or unfair. I will say, if Jaden Daniels has a sophomore slump, that's one thing, but Jaden Daniels is fast and athletic. Even if the offense around him is not performing, and even if the line isn't blocking, Jaden Daniels' eye test is a fantastic football player. I tell you what, Vagabond John, against the Packers defense, he did not look that fast. He didn't look that athletic. Like, whether it was Cooper or Bullard or Parsons or any of these guys, like, he did not look like he was a cut above athletically against that Packers defense. And whether or not he slumps and the Commanders are any good or not, that simple eye test tells me a lot about the Packers defense.
I'm glad you mentioned Bullard, because I think he's kind of forgotten as one of the additions the Packers have added to the Monstars over the last 2 years. But, like, this defense is just crazy. This is crazy, Grant. We do not need a corner that can hold with a receiver for 4 or 5 seconds, right? There's no chance, you know? And even Van Ness, even if it's Gary and Van Ness, I think because those guys get such of a breather with Parsons, and they have such a this team is just built incredibly well. Kudos to Goody. Kudos to Jeff Hafley so far for kicking some major ass. This has nothing to do with my arguments of the previous 3 years. I don't know if you saw all the conversation back and forth online today.
I saw you tweeting up a storm.
I'm getting tagged a lot, and I'm like, okay, look, guys, if you don't think the guy that's going to be on the Sunday Night Football banner has made an impact on this team, like, I don't know what to tell you. So I'm incredibly excited about this team. And Grant, I'm one to like get really niche on something and really focus on it, and I kind of like laser in on one specific aspect. That run by Jordan Love for like 8-10 yards, whatever it was, lowering the shoulder at the end. I am all the way back in. I was all the way out until proven otherwise. I'll hand up. He proved me wrong, man. He used his wheels to pick up a crucial, I don't know if it was a second down or a third down, pick up crucial yards
it was a third
when
down.
nothing was there. And if he can do that, man, Super Bowl, there's no reason to not think that this team can absolutely win a Super Bowl. Do I think they will? That's why we play the season.
Well, yeah.
Do I think they can? Yes, you have a mobile quarterback and a dominant defense. You can absolutely win a Super Bowl with that. So I'm hyped. Week 2, maybe.
So I am as well. We could talk more about Jeff Hafley at a different time. And I know Vagabond John has been this Joe Barry defender, and he said, well, of course Jeff Hafley's defense looks better. They signed Xavier McKinney, and now this year that they traded for Micah Parsons. I also think separate of that, Jeff Hafley is an excellent coordinator and coach. And the more that I watch of his unit and the more that I listen to him and listen to smart football people, the further that I believe that. On that Jordan Love scramble, by the way, I saw Mina Kimes tweeting about it last night. Ben Solak tweeted this, and this isn't hard to believe at all. That 14-yard run tied his longest run from all of last season. Like, he doesn't need 30, 40-yard runs. Every once in a while, you got to scramble on third down or scramble when the play breaks down to take a 2nd and 10 to a 2nd and 3. And if he can just do a little bit of that without killing himself running in the open field, falling over or doing the splits or, lowering the boom on somebody, then the Packers offense will be much more dangerous as a result this year. Tougher to stop, tougher to get off the field. All right, one more call and then we'll take our final break. Listen to a little Jimmy Buffett. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Okay, somebody snuck into the Sacramento line.
Rico. So can I just say something? I'd like to get out ahead of this.
Okay.
1 week from today, I will be at Beer House in La Crosse doing a live show. And then after that, I know you like to hang around the 4th Street, that kind of area. We are playing a gig at Popcorn next Friday, and I know you do enjoy live music. So if you looking for a place. And also, I will say, because I played gigs at the Popcorn for years and years when I lived there, those shows used to start at 10:15. And while it's fun, it's very difficult to recruit people. Hey, come out and see my band. We start at 10. Start at 8 now. Doors at 7. Show starts at 8. A little bit more manageable. So just something to keep in mind. Because I know had I not told you, you would have yelled at me. That's why I tell you.
Friday?
Friday. Yep. Week from
Friday.
today.
That's Friday.
Yep.
Are you listening or what?
Yes, I said yes. Sorry if you didn't hear me. Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right. Like I said, have you been sneaking into Sacramento Marine or what? You're happy. What's going on?
Yeah.
Is this the Grant Bills we're supposed to have?
Well, Look, with Packers teams the last couple of years, you've been able to look at the team and say, okay, it could happen, if this and that, and like, well, I can see the shape of it. With this team, I mean, it just jumps off the screen, doesn't it, Rico? Like, this team looks dominant.
You know what? I will say it. You know what? You know me. I'm just kind of like a semi-casual. I do care about their record and how they do, but I'm a little more casual. I'm a little more excited about this team.
You should be. I think we should.
So
all
that's
be.
saying something.
Yeah.
So there you go. You mark it on the calendar. I'm a little excited about this team.
Go?
I'm dancing. Gotta go.
All right, Rico. I appreciate it. Sorry, I ate up all the oxygen with your call, trying to promote my slapdick band playing next Friday night. Although Rico's come in the past, I'll always tell people. But yeah, in the past, like the Popcorn, legendary in downtown La Crosse. Man, music would go 10 to 2, and it's fun. It's fun. Don't get me wrong, but holy crap! And you tell the average working man or woman, family man or woman, hey, let us know when your band's playing. We'll have to come out. Oh, we play the Popcorn on such and such day. All right, what time do you start? Yeah, 10:15. Are you kidding me? No, I'm not coming to that. So 8 o'clock, a little bit easier. Maybe I'll see you next week, Rico. La Crosse Beer House a week from today. And then 2 weeks from today, we'll be tapping the golden can with Michelob Ultra at Flipside Pub and Grill. It's a time-honored tradition. It has been for basically the entire existence of WK2I, going all the way back to Kearns in the morning. And our WK2I listeners have turned out big time for that with Ebo in the morning. We'll sing Ein Prosit. We'll give away some T-shirts, and it's the perfect way to start the Oktoberfest weekend. I'll be at Flipside the night before to warm things up. Then Ebo in the morning. Bill will be down at the grounds. And I don't know where I'm doing my show Friday night. I haven't completely settled in on that yet. But Flipside on Thursday, a week from tonight, will be a beer house. And then if you want some live music, wander up to 4th Street. We'll be playing for a couple of hours. Fins up, by the way. It's Friday. We'll listen to a little Buffett, wrap up the show next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. Sports Show will The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
I remember going to a Titans practice. LaFleur was kind of this, young up-and-comers, his first ever offensive coordinator job, thinking like, God, this guy's a pretty big red ass. He was screaming at people. That was like Mariota, Deion Lewis, Derrick Henry. That was before Derrick Henry was good, like Luan. I mean, they had some good players. But I just remember this guy, and I've been to a lot of NFL practices. Some offensive coordinators, like if you go to a 49er practice, Kyle Shanahan's not screaming at a bunch of people. Gruden would scream at people. Even Harbaugh, Greg Roman, they weren't screaming at you. You went there, it's like LaFleur was just screaming at people. And sometimes he's kind of got that in him. He's got a little edge to him. LaFleur's really grown on me over the years.
Not only going out to Wisconsin and the great Midwest, we're going around the world tonight, Parrot Head.
Fins up, it's Friday, final segment. I wanted to play that cut from John Middlecoff. I got a bunch of sound from his live stream last night. He was on the show last week, 2 weeks ago. Can't remember. Yeah, it would have been last week because the Packers played twice this week. That would be why. It was I think it was last Thursday. Some really good, early stories of his first impressions when he was working in the league, seeing Jeff Hafley and being like, this guy, this nerdy weirdo. People being like, he's actually a pretty good coach. And now, if this Packers team looks like this the rest of the year, he's probably going to get interest for head coaching jobs, if not in college, just straight up in the NFL. And Matt LaFleur, I know people don't think that Matt LaFleur can be a macho man. Little Matt, I believe, as he's called on the morning show by one of our contributors. And of course, Ebo piles on because that's what Ebo does. Ebo knows how to fan any flame, Little Matt. Matt LaFleur can get into guys. He got into Kingsley Enagbare. The one nit that I would love to pick on yesterday's game, Love missed a couple throws. That's going to happen. I wish he would have hit one or both of those throws to Golden. What are you going to do? The special teams penalties are killer. It's such a large field position swing. The Packers were dominating the Commanders last night and yet felt like they were on the wrong end of the field position tilt most of the game. Special teams penalties will not help with that. You understand, if someone fields a punt at the 20 and returns it to the 38, 18-yard return, good return, but nothing gaudy, but there's a holding penalty at the 20, you're back now on the 10. That's a 28-yard swing of field position. You don't get field position swings like that in other areas of the game. Those penalties matter, man. Also, I would have loved Enagbare to know the idea there. He ran on thinking it was field goal. Maybe that's just him being a hammerhead. I would also like to think Rich Bisaccia, the associate head coach and the special teams coordinator on the sideline, is making it abundantly clear. And maybe it was made clear and Enagbare didn't hear it or whatever. But that's one nitpick. We can return to that on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'm going to the Twin Cities, see some family. Enjoy this beautiful September weekend. Go Wisconsin tomorrow. Good luck with that. Talk to you Monday.
Thank you all very much. You sure